Okay. I don't know. I think I'm live. Wow, I tried to I don't know where I ended up, but I couldn't end the thing. Nobody could hear me. Now nobody knows I'm here. I'm doing it on a public I don't know. Anyway, maybe people will find me. Hey, somebody found me. Tell me you can hear me. Say hi. I'm just flailing at this point. So I'll just sit here. I don't know. I don't want to learn more about that. Learn more. Oh, crap. I did it again. There I am. So I'm just going to start over because I don't think anybody heard anything that I said. And now nobody's there. Yeah. So, hi. I'm Sarah Peasley, Handknitter. I've been doing Facebook live streaming from, there you go, from Facebook Live, obviously, for a little over a year. I think I started in November of 2020. So there's a bit of a history there, a backlog of recorded live streams that you could watch there. I'm going to slowly bring them over here to my new home on YouTube, which obviously I don't know how to use. And I say that because I just talked to nobody for 20 minutes. And I couldn't figure out how to end the stream. It was the weirdest thing. I don't know where I ended up, but I couldn't do anything. So maybe people will find me while I'm randomly doing this without having sent the link. I don't know if anybody will find me, but I'll just keep going because it will be recorded for later perusal. Phew, wow, this is harder than I thought. I practiced yesterday and I did not have this trouble. Of course, I don't know. It all looked different yesterday. So I have to figure out what's going on. Anywho, Sarah Peasley, Handknitter. I am a teacher, a designer, an editor, a yarn shop employee. I'm in the mid-Michigan area, and I've been doing what I'm doing. Well, I don't remember learning to knit. I've been teaching since 2000, so over 20 years, and editing for a little bit less than that. So this is where I live now. This is where I live. This is actually where I live. This is my office in the upstairs spare bedroom. And trying to have a video presence, not very good at it. And this is about as good as it's going to get. It looks about the same as it did on Facebook Live, except I figured out how to work that better than I'm working this. So here I am for anybody who finds me, and we'll see how it goes. What I want to tell you about this week is what I'm working on. I finished, all right, so far I'm not sticking to my plan, but I finished the poncho I was working on out of the Quince & Company Owl and Owl Tweet from, there you are. Yeah, I just started a new one, and I don't know. We'll figure it out, Fran. I'm glad you found me. So now I'm talking to somebody. I finished the poncho that I was working on out of the Quince & Company Owl and Owl Tweet, designed by Andrea Mowry for Quince & Company, but she's of Drea Renee Knits, her Drea for Andrea Mowry. And her middle name must be Renee because Drea Renee, right? No, this is a whole new one. Fran, I could not end the old one. There was no end button anywhere. So I ended up deleting it like 15 minutes in because I couldn't figure out how to get out of it. I couldn't stop it. It was weird. So this one has an end stream button at the bottom. So I know I can end it when I want to. I don't know where I was on that other one. So I'll get a link and put it in Patreon after I'm done recording here or living. So I don't know, just didn't work out the way I thought it would at first. So growing pains. Yeah, so the poncho's done if we don't count the fact that I haven't sewn it together or woven in the ends, but I can't exactly say I haven't blocked it yet. So I was going to block it and then sew the seam and then we've in the 4 ends that it has. So I'm blocking it. If you count that I put it in a bowl of water in my kitchen sink 2 nights ago. Pretty sure it was there all day yesterday. So I think I did it 2 nights ago, and then today I advanced by finding some of my, not finding, but going and getting 4 beach towels, because what I'll do is lay 2 beach towels out, lay the poncho on top of the 2 beach towels, lay 2 more on top, roll the whole thing up, walk on it to get a lot of the water out. And then I get to take it to the blocking board that I have set up in my laundry room. It's not a blocking board. Well, it is a blocking board, actually. A big padded, gridded thing that I use for blocking, and it was made for blocking, but they don't make them anymore. So that's all you're going to hear about it unless I take pictures. But I have to lay it out all straight and stuff, which, it's a rectangle. How hard can that be? But it's a lot of work. So I got it in the bowl of water. This is how I roll. I got it in the bowl of water. I got the beach towels out. So the next thing will be to lift it up out of the bowl of water. I'd like to wash dishes at some point, so I will do that. Get the poncho out of the bowl of water before I do that. Wash the dishes, and then I need to, lay it flat. Although it's 4 feet long, 36, 4 feet long, 48 inches. Yeah. My blocking board is, I think, 36 and 36 inches wide. Is that true? Might be 24 and 24. Okay, I think it's 48 inches long. Boy, that doesn't sound long enough for a poncho. So I should be able to lay it out flat. But I just saw a thing. I started following Brooklyn Boy Knits on Instagram, and there was a post about how to block a cowl without getting the creases. And what I do is I just keep flipping it, as I walk by, but maybe you can't keep walking by and flipping it as it lays out in its circle. So Brooklyn Boy, who's Louise, I don't know. I'll have to learn. Suggested that you take I forget something like a wrapping paper roll, something long and round. I forget if that's what he used, but and put that where the fold would be, where the bendy over part is, so that it can dry around something instead of folded flat. Which I think is brilliant. I hadn't heard of that trick before, and so I was maybe going to use that if I had to fold my poncho flat while it dries. Fold it in half while it dries. But I don't think I'll have to fold it in half. We won't know until I pull it out of the water and wrap it in the beach towels and step on it and then advance to the next step, which I don't know. So what else would I, so the poncho is done, but not done. And see, it should be done before I move on to something else, because I have a lot of things in my to-do pile that are like where the poncho is, except not in my sink, but where they just need a little bit, but I don't consider them done. So, I put it in water so that I'm moving forward on it. We'll see. I will report back. You will see it when it's actually done. I have a list over here on my iPad. So then the next thing I was working on, the other thing I was working on, which, I can get to the end of the row. Okay, so I won't talk about this till I get to the end of the row. Or I can talk about this. Let's talk about this. Pool noodles. See, I'm so happy you can hear me. I could, if I had pool noodles, I could buy a pool noodle, but I have beach towels back from when I had people living in my house, and sometimes we went to the beach. We weren't big beach goers, but the beach towels have come in handy. Currently, they're besides for blocking, for getting water out of things, I use them to wipe Clara off when she comes in from rolling in the snow, because she likes to roll in the snow. And even now that I've started that, even when she hasn't rolled in the snow, she's looking at me when we come in like, okay, rub me down. She likes to get the towel rubbed all over her. So I've created a monster, but it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, pool noodle would be a good idea. See, now I'm responsible for show notes. So now when I say things like Brooklyn Boy Knits, I have to go get their info so I can put it in the show notes. So there you go. I'm writing that down so I can do that. Oh my gosh, responsibilities. I don't know if I'm up to it. Obviously, obviously I'm challenged. Okay. So, yep. So the thing, I'm still not done. Okay. So I'll tell you that yesterday, which I think was Sunday, if this is Monday, then yesterday was Sunday, I taught session 2 of 2 of my very first ever crochet class. Very proud of myself. So I've been studying crochet, not just like sticking the needle in and making things happen, but like where should I stick the needle in and how should I make the things happen? And you know, kind of studying it like I used to study knitting, not in the very beginning because nobody remembers that nobody knows you're not supposed to do anything. Anyway, I got to the point where I wanted to share some of that with people. So I had 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 people in my class, 1 from locally and 4 from far away. I can't subtract 1 from 5. And they did great. We did basic crochet skills the first week. And then yesterday we did some granny stripes and granny squares. And they all made granny stripes and granny squares. So my work here is done. I was pretty proud of myself. I already said that, but you know, I was pretty proud of myself. And it was really, really fun to make a new class from scratch and not just tweak an old one. I haven't made a new class in a really long time. Okay, speaking of classes, because remember, I'm a teacher. The class I'm teaching right now is I call it the Starsky sweater. It's one in a series of my custom fit sweater design classes. And this time around, I was influenced by a scarf I saw on Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton's website. Long story. I love the fabric of the scarf. The way the scarf was styled in a photo, I thought it was a big shawl collar sweater. Then it turned out it was a rectangle. And I thought, well, it could be a big shawl collar sweater. So that's what I'm making. And a bunch of people are making it with me. And here's my progress. And it uses 2 yarns. It uses Noro Ito, which is this ginormous ball of yarn, almost as big as my head. And, well, Silk Garden Sock Solo. Sock because it's sock weight and solo because it's 1-ish color. I don't remember what the... Let's just see. That's not in there. Here we go. Oh boy. What the so wool 40%, silk 25%, polyamide or polyamide, I never know how to say that, 25%, and mohair, really? 10%. Well, there you go. And solo, so Silk Garden Sock Solo. Yeah. And then it's a slip stitch pattern and it's very linear, which makes my heart happy, you know, and every time I hold it up, I'm like, oh, it's so pretty. So this is what I have. This is the body. It's a cardigan. We're doing it all. Some of us. Fran's watching. She's not. Some of us are doing it all in one piece. That was the goal. So that there's this big slog of knitting and I'm getting there. I want it to be, well, you can't see my butt, thank goodness, but lower than my butt and then come up to wherever I want my armhole to start. Usually I'm kind of mathy in these classes and I, you know, we do lots of math and we do gauge. We did that here too, but I'm just holding it up and I'm going to be done when I think it's at the right spot. And then it's drop shoulder, or it can be, what's it called? Modified drop. So a square armhole basically. And so so modified drop, you'd have to say, okay, yes, this is the underarm. Drop shoulder, I can just keep going and then hold it up and say, well, yeah, I guess we are going to declare the underarm because we're going to split the fronts and the back. But anyway, I'm making some good progress. And when I sent out my last, I like it. Oh, look, it matches what I'm wearing. And you know what? This, well, in case you didn't notice, this is like a brown. I don't have any brown clothes yet. So that's kind of exciting for me. So there you go. I'm making a brown sweater, but it looks like this. So it's okay. And see, it'll look nice. I'm excited. Yeah. What else did I want to tell you about that? My list went away. I think that's it for now. So I'm working on that. I got the poncho done, but not done. Oh boy, I got my first weird comment. So there you go. And I have another class coming up that starts in March. I just finished the crochet one. The March one's going to be a cabled hat. Well, it's not going to be a cabled hat, but the cabled hat's going to be part of it. So it's going to be 2 sessions, and the first session is flat rope cables, which are these guys like this that just go straight up and down and look like rope. And then and we'll do left leaning and right leaning, and we'll do them with cable needles and without cable needles, and then and flat, and talk about how to keep track of where you are. We're going to read charts so that you have the option of reading charts or not, and learn how to fix boo-boos if you cross it the wrong way, for example. And week 2, or somewhere along the way to week 2, we're going to do traveling cables, which are like these things, which are, they don't even look like cables, but they are in fact cables, and they travel. So, and in the round, we're going to then move into in the round, and we're going to have started a hat by the time we're done with the 2-session class. And look at this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? So you too will be able to make this if you can't already. If you take that class. It's March, I don't know, 2 weekends, 2 Sundays in March. I don't know when it is. It's on my calendar, which all this stuff will be in the, in the chat. See, I did the thing. I got to point down to the chat below the thing that doesn't exist yet. So that's the next class I'm going to start. And I'd like to have like a project class every month. So this past month was the crochet granny stripes and squares, and next month will be the cabled hat. And I'm not sure what's coming up next. And then on my Patreon account, I had my lovely patrons help me pick out my next project to work on. So we had a poll, and in the first iteration, fancy word, of the poll number 1, I offered sweater, accessory, Afghan, or miscellaneous. Were there only 4? I think so. And accessories were the winner. So day 2, because these were 24-hour polls, day 2, the choices were, yay! Fran says the video here is a lot better. So much better. I like all the O's, and so much better than Facebook Live. That is good to know. So there's another good reason. Thank you. I just have to keep remembering to look up here so it doesn't look like I'm looking down here. I think that's what happened with the previous live stream. I was trying to move things around, and I must have clicked on something, and it kept saying it was live, but I couldn't do anything about it. Anyway, and you couldn't see me. I was talking about something. Poll number 2, got it, was within the accessories, head, neck, hands, or feet. And well, first of all, I thought sweater was going to be the winner of the first poll, and boy, was I wrong. And then for head, neck, hands, or feet, it did not surprise me at all that neck was the winner. And here's some of the reasoning why. I have once last year and then once more recently, gone through on my Facebook Live and gone through all my project bags, every single one, I am not kidding, and shown all the things that were in progress. And sadly, when I did it the second time, a year later, it was the same projects. Nothing had gotten done. Probably some more projects were there. So I have them all listed, and people who've been watching fairly regularly have seen them. So I know that people know that I have some sweaters that are really close to completion and some shawls that were fun to work on. So here I was thinking, okay, we're going to go for that one shawl that I know I want to work on, but I'm trying not to sway any of the poll takers. So poll number 3 on the third day in the shawl category, I had the granny square. Oh, I just put that away. I had it out for my crochet class yesterday. I have this giant granny square shawl made out of lace weight yarn, 4 colors of lace weight yarn, alpaca and wool, alpaca and merino probably. Very scrumptious, that just needs the border put on. And I thought for sure somebody, well, at least one person, I think 2 people picked that. I also had the Snarkle Meter, which was a fun knit along with Casapinka. Oh gosh, I think I already have that. Did I mention that? No, let's write that down. Oh boy. Casapinka Snarkometer. Okay, I'll put that in there too. My first ever mystery knit along and my first ever Casapinka thing, and there's a story about how that came about, but I'll tell the story when that becomes the project I'm working on. And but nobody picked that one. 0. It got 0 votes. And then the third project, I mean, it's weird. I'll tell you what I had because it's right here. Here's my list is in here. See, it's that big of a list. Not really. Oh, here's my list. Nope, that's not my list. Here's my list. Yep. Okay, here's page 1 of my list. And at the top, I have a summary, and it says miscellaneous, Afghan sweater, and then hat, wrap, socks. I didn't actually have any mittens except my, or hands, except my son would like me to make him some gloves. So I thought maybe I should do that. And then skirts. I have some skirts in progress. So of wraps, I have 6 listed in here. One was the, the Nashaw poncho that I just finished. And the other 3, what did I just say? 6. 2. The other 2 were in like the exact same place as the Nashaw. Well, farther along because they just needed the tails woven in. One of them. What's the other one? That one probably needs to be blocked also. So yeah, at the exact same place. So I decided not to count them as a whole project. But they're still projects. They're still not done. So I put them in a bag by a chair where I'm going to pretend that I'm going to sit and do things like weave in ends. I mean, one of them only needs 4 ends woven in. Nasha only needs 4 ends woven in. The other one probably needs 2 ends woven in. Oh my gosh. But those will pop up in I'll talk about those at some point. So the clear winner, I didn't mention yet, for the third shawl, the third neck accessory was Talamina, which took me by surprise. I really thought it was going to be Snarkometer. And Talamina is a shawl designed by Denise Bell of Lost City Knits down in Oklahoma. I say down because I think it's down. I don't know where Oklahoma is. It's not within my lifetime of small lifetime of traveling. But it's this beautiful, I'll put a link to the, oh, there you can see it against my pale skin. It's got this beautiful pattern. There you go. And it starts with, I think it starts right off with that beautiful pattern. Let's find out. Here's the beginning. Yep. Starts right off with that beautiful pattern. And then when you get to a certain point, it switches to a border pattern. And I had gotten to that point and started the border pattern. I was, I don't know, 8 rows in. And I still had a lot of yarn left over. This is almost half the ball of yarn still because it was lace weight. It was 975 yards or something. It's Anzula Wash My Lace. And look at that, 980 yards. That's kind of like 975, isn't it? Good girl. Good girl. So I decided to take off the 8 rows of border and keep going on the other chart, which the pattern says you can do. And it tells you how to predict how much yarn you're going to need for the border. And I know all this because I edited the pattern for Denise. So I threw in a bag. And so that was a long time ago. And I had taught a class on this pattern. I think I taught it twice. And a couple people finished it and some people didn't. But it was my attempt to show people that lace weight yarn is nothing to be afraid of by teaching you how to wrangle it. And to teach you how to do lace, like lace weight lace. And introduce people to Denise's patterns, I guess, too. So I taught, I think 2 full classes of it at, by 2 full classes, I mean, it was 3 sessions, I don't know. And I taught it twice anyway. I never finished. I'm close though. So I didn't know. So I put it away and I hadn't gotten it out for a while. And so I pulled it out after it won the poll number 3. And it's this long, which doesn't look very long, but it's going to block out. Look how beautiful that blue is. It's called Blueberry. It's gorgeous. Very gorgeous. You can see the pattern even when it's not blocked out. It's these little leafy things. So apparently I had already taken out the border chart. And so Saturday, recently, I think Saturday, I just went through, scooched across. I didn't even scooch across. I counted across and made sure that I had 10 between each set of markers because that's the repeat. And I made sure the beginning and the end were correct because those are a little bit different. Oh, and look, I'm not done doing that yet. I'm in the middle. Well, I did actually. I did that all the way across. And then I'm on the purl row because this is the kind of lace that has purl every other row. Anyway, I did that. And I'm on the purl row and I put it down. It's a fucking long purl row. And it's just going to get bigger. But it is a purl row, so I do have that resting row. And I was doing it enough that I had that, it's a little 8 row, I think, pattern, 8 rows. So I had that memorized. So I just need to get that going again and then do some more repeats and keep weighing the yarn and writing it down so I can figure out how many more repeats I can do. I don't know how to, oh, there we go. Zip the bag. And I met Denise. I think I met Denise at Meg Swanson's knitting camp. And one of my, yes, I taught it definitely because one of my students made little buttons for us. So I have my Talamina shawl button on my Talamina shawl project bag. So that's exciting. So now what I'm working on are the Starsky sweater and Talamina shawl. I actually am working on that. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm going to try to be kind of not monogamous. I made up the word duogamous and just stick to 2 patterns. But yeah, yesterday, Sunday, while I was getting ready for my crochet class, Granny Stripes and Squares, and we were on the Granny Stripes and Squares session of the Granny Stripes and Squares class, I started a new, yeah, it's not near here either. I cleaned up my office for you guys, so now nothing's within reach. See, all behind me even. It's all cleaned up, except there's my Afghan. I started a new Granny Stripe swatch out of some yarn that I was saving to make something that I'm never going to make, I decided. And it's beautiful and I want to keep going, but then that would be another new project. So right now it's still just a swatch. But yeah, so that was the Talamina shawl story. I told you about the cable class. It's been 40, well, it hasn't been 48 minutes because I screwed up the first 20, so I'll keep going a little bit. I wanted to tell you, I was Zooming with some friends on, I don't know, was it Saturday? And one of the things that came up was ordering food from Misfits Market. And I'm not bringing this up so that I can get you to sign up for Misfits Market, although I will put my coupon code in the notes at the bottom. But I did want to, I received my 3rd box from Misfits Market today, and I took pictures as I opened it up. I did an unboxing, and I wanted to show you the pictures. Whoops, that's not where they are, though, so that's not going to help. Let me find the right spot. And you may not be able to see these very well, but I thought it was pretty hilarious. So it was a heavy box. It lands on my front porch with a thud. I have a wooden, like a wooden deck kind of front porch. There's a story there. So I went out to get it. They don't like ring the bell or anything. I just heard it. And so I went out to get it. It was heavy, and I carried it into my kitchen. I didn't take a picture of it closed, but it was like, I don't know, like it was big. It was big. And so I opened it up, and this is what it looked like. Oh, you can see that. Okay. Whoops. Hi, get bigger. Whoops. What's going on? I just want them to see the pictures. There we go. So there's this stuff that's like clear plastic on the outside and then like batting on the other side. And so that's there. And then I pulled that open. And this is what it looked like. There's my groceries. Okay. So you can see they're just thrown in there. And the box itself, the outside box said this end up. If they turned it upside down, then this would all be underneath, which would be bad because you'll see what was underneath in a little bit. So you can see that's my blueberries in that little box. So that box had my blueberries in it. I've gotten blueberries before, and they haven't been in the, what it is a corrugated cardboard packaging thing. So that's recyclable. And then it's got a regular little pint of strawberries in there in the plastic clamshell thing. And this was a jar of spices that had some weirdo craft paper stuff around it, and then tissue paper inside that. So that's all recyclable. And then otherwise it's groceries. And then I took all those out, and there they are. They're glamour shot. And right, oh, you can't see. It's, maybe they weren't in that. Anyway, there they are. And Diane, if you ever get to watch this, because I know you're not here right now, even though you tried to be on the original recording or live stream, I got the Envy apples. They had Envy apples. Diane brought me an Envy apple to the shop where I worked the other day. I've never had one before. She said she brought an apple for the teacher, which made me happy. And I wasn't even teaching. And it was the most delicious apple I've ever had in my entire life. So I had that. Everything's fine there. The oranges in the bag had a couple little scars, but not all the way through. And everything else looks perfectly fine that I got. And then after all the veggies, all that stuff came out, it looked like that, which is the cold pack. And that was heavy. And so the first time I got one, I cut it open and went through all the layers and opened it up, and there was my stuff. This time I just cut open one layer, and there's like fluffy stuff in there. So it's kind of like carpet padding, but nice and soft. It's not itchy, and I don't know. So I can recycle that. And then I pulled the fluffy stuff aside, and there was another sheet of plastic in there. So there's the silver shiny thing, the insulation, I guess, and then the white plastic. And then I opened the white plastic, and there's my cold pack stuff. Now these guys are frozen goo in plastic bags, and you put them in you just put the thing, you let the things thaw, and they get, thawed. And then you snip a corner, put it in your kitchen sink, let it run down the drain while you're running hot water, which takes seconds. And then the plastic part, the bag part, is like a plastic bag. And if your area recycles plastic bags, you can recycle that. So that's pretty cool. That other cardboard thing, that's my eggs. So they were packed. And then I pulled that stuff out, and there it all is. I have some cheese and some pepperoni, because last week I got pizza crusts, but I forgot to get anything to put on the pizza crust. I have my yogurt, and I got blue cheese crumbles. I splurged on those, and I'm going to make quiche Lorraine. So I have some half and half, and I also got mushrooms and the eggs. Got some Swiss cheese for that too. So, I mean, it's groceries. They're just normal groceries. And that's it. So those were all the stages of my opening my Misfits Market box. So there's my unboxing for you. Phew. And then I will tell you that what I had for breakfast today was a thing. So there's a website called Budget Bites, BYTES. And quite often, I don't know how I found them. They were probably advertising on Facebook, but I go to them for many recipes a lot. They're free. They do have like paid menu services where they'll give you a week's worth of menus or something like that in a shopping list. But I use the recipes that are free. And this one was for ratatouille frittata. I've made it twice now. Let me tell you the ingredients. An eggplant, got it from Misfits Market. Zucchini, same. Yellow onion, same. Grape tomatoes, same. And then it needs basil, oregano, crushed red pepper, salt and pepper, olive oil. I already had those. But they sell spices. They sell olive oil. Excuse me. 2 cloves garlic. Now I could have bought garlic from them, but I have a jar of minced in my fridge. 6 large eggs. I got the eggs. 1/4 cup milk. I got the milk, and 1 ounce Parmesan. I got the Parmesan. So it all came from Misfits Market, and this stuff is really good. So it makes they have you put it in 9 by 13. No, I made it in a a sauce skillet. That's what it's called. I made it in a skillet, and well, it's okay. So it takes a really long time to make because you roast the vegetables first, but you just throw them on the pan and then stick it in the oven. Then you go knit, or in this case, you write your crochet notes for your class that night. And then after the vegetables are roasted, you whip your eggs with, you don't whip them, you whisk. You whisk them with your milk and your, what else? Milk, eggs, and perhaps that was it. And then everything goes into a pan, and then you stick that in the oven, and then 30 minutes later you have a delicious meal. So I had that for dinner the other night. And so it's a skillet. It's like that big around, a big skillet. And so I cut it, and then it says, this is funny. Once the frittata has baked, remove it from the oven, let it rest for about 5 minutes, slice it into 8 pieces, and serve. I sliced it into 4. I sliced it like this in the skillet, and each one of those has been a serving for me, and it's been delicious. So I had it for dinner. Oh, I made it on Saturday, and then I had it for breakfast on Sunday and breakfast on Monday. That's today. So I have 1 more serving left. And it's really good heated up. So there you go. I've told you about Budget Bites, and everything on here could have come from Misfit Markets. May very well have. So that's my spiel. I think that's everything I had to tell you. The sky was really blue when I walked the dog, so that was nice. And I didn't grow up with blue sky. I grew up with not blue sky. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the suburbs, but it was we moved there in 65, which is weird because I was just born a few years ago. But we moved there in 65, and steel mills were still a thing or getting finished up. So the air quality was not good for a long time, and the skies were not blue. So moving to Michigan, I found blue skies. I moved in 79. So it wasn't till I came here for college, and I wasn't really looking at the skies then, but now I do. I don't take them for granted. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. Typical talking into the void, except it's just me and Fran right now. I'm going to go put the link in my Patreon account so my other Patreon people can see it. They were supposed to be here for the live, but I screwed it up. And then in a day or two, I'll put it up for everybody else to see. But I'm going to take it to private as soon as I'm done here for a while, a day or two. Okay. So thanks. I see the end stream button that I couldn't find before. And I'm going to end stream and then do all the things. Okay. Thanks.